Jacob stared out of the large observation window aboard the Orbital Research Station EOS, his mind heavy with unanswered questions. The stars beyond the glass shimmered like tiny diamonds scattered across an endless black canvas. But tonight, they felt distant and cold. Something was wrong, terribly wrong, and he couldn't shake the feeling that humanity's recent decision to withdraw from galactic politics was at the heart of it. It had been 3 months since Earth's governing council made the shocking announcement. Humanity, after centuries of participating in treaties, trade agreements, and alliances with alien civilizations, had decided to step away from all interstellar involvement. At first, Jacob thought it might have been a temporary measure, perhaps a response to some internal crisis on Earth. But as time passed, no explanations came. Instead, there were only vague statements about focusing on human priorities and internal growth. None of it made sense. His sister Laura worked as a diplomat back on Earth, and she had always been someone he could count on for clarity during confusing times. But lately, her messages had grown cryptic. She avoided answering his questions directly, instead hinting at something much larger than politics or economics. "There's more going on than you know," she'd written in one message. "Something bigger than us." Her words left him uneasy, especially because she refused to elaborate further. Jacob turned away from the window and walked over to his workstation, where holographic displays floated above the desk. He scrolled through streams of data collected by probes scattered throughout nearby sectors of space. Most of it was routine star charts, radiation readings, gravitational anomalies, but recently, unusual patterns had begun showing up. Entire regions of space, once bustling with human activity, now registered as eerily quiet. Ships entering these areas reported strange malfunctions before vanishing altogether. Even communication signals sent into these zones failed to return. "What's happening out there?" Jacob muttered under his breath. He tapped a few commands into the console, pulling up a map of the affected areas. They formed a peculiar pattern, almost like cracks spreading across glass. It didn't match any natural phenomenon he'd ever studied. "Still obsessing over those anomalies?" Mia asked, walking into the room. She was a linguist stationed aboard EOS, and one of the few people Jacob trusted enough to share his concerns with. Her dark hair was tied back in a loose ponytail, and her arms were crossed as she leaned against the doorway. "I don't think I'm obsessing," Jacob replied, though his tone suggested otherwise. "Have you seen the latest reports? More ships are disappearing near Proxima Centauri." Mia sighed and moved closer to examine the data. "It's not just Proxima. There are rumors coming in from other systems too. People say the universe is changing. Changing how? That's the thing. No one knows for sure." Mia hesitated before adding, "Some aliens believe it's connected to humanity, leaving the galactic stage, like we upset some kind of cosmic balance." Jacob frowned. "That sounds ridiculous. We're not that important." "Are you sure about that?" Mia countered, gently. "Think about it. For centuries, humans have played a major role in shaping interstellar relations. Now, suddenly, we're gone. Maybe the galaxy doesn't know what to do without us." Before Jacob could respond, his communicator buzzed. It was Laura. His stomach tightened as he accepted the call. Her face appeared on the screen, pale and drawn. Dark circles shadowed her eyes, making her look older than she was. "Jake," she said softly, glancing around as if checking for eavesdroppers. "I need you to listen carefully. Whatever happens next, don't trust anyone, not even me." The line went dead before Jacob could ask what she meant. He stared at the blank screen, his mind racing. Trust no one. What did she know that he didn't? Mia noticed the worry etched on his face. "What did she say?" Jacob shook his head slowly. "Nothing good." Nathan adjusted the settings on his recorder as he stepped off the shuttle onto Vera, a planet known for its vibrant markets and bustling alien communities. Normally, This would have been an exciting assignment for him as a journalist with asterisks stellar, echoes asterisk, but today, the atmosphere felt tense, almost suffocating. The streets were crowded, but not with shoppers or traders. Protesters filled the square, their chants echoing loudly in the humid air. Signs written in multiple languages demanded one thing: remove humans. He approached a group of aliens, gathered near a fountain. Their skin tones ranged from deep blue to pale green, but their expressions shared a common anger. One of them, a tall reptilian creature with sharp scales, noticed Nathan's human features and sneered. "You shouldn't be here," it hissed. Before turning away, Nathan ignored the comment and turned on his recorder. This is Nathan reporting live from Vera, where anti-human sentiment is reaching new heights following Earth's withdrawal from galactic politics. Local authorities are struggling to maintain order as tensions escalate. As he spoke, a loud crash echoed through the square. A storefront window shattered as protesters threw rocks at a shop owned by humans. Screams erupted, and Nathan instinctively ducked behind a vendor's stall. His heart pounded as he watched chaos unfold. This wasn't just a protest, it was a riot. Later that evening, Nathan sat in his rented room, replaying footage of the day's events. The images were jarring: frightened faces, broken glass, smoke rising from burning buildings. He couldn't help but wonder if humanity's decision to leave galactic politics had truly caused this much unrest, or if there was something else driving these emotions. His thoughts drifted to Jacob, an old acquaintance who worked aboard the research station, EO. Nathan hadn't spoken to him in years, but he remembered Jacob's passion for uncovering mysteries in space. If anyone could make sense of what was happening, it might be him. The next morning, Nathan visited the local archives, hoping to find records of similar incidents in other systems. What he discovered chilled him. Reports poured in from across the galaxy: human enclaves attacked, trade routes disrupted, diplomatic missions cancelled. Alien factions that once relied on humanity's leadership were now scrambling to fill the void. Some accused humans of abandoning their responsibilities, while others claimed Earth's withdrawal was part of a larger conspiracy. Amidst the chaos, Nathan stumbled upon classified documents leaked by an anonymous source. They revealed secret meetings between Earth's leaders and representatives from unknown entities shortly before the announcement. The details were vague, but one phrase caught his attention: the silent zones. It referred to areas of space where communication had ceased entirely, and ships entering them never returned. Curious, Nathan decided to dig deeper. He contacted Laura, Jacob's sister, who worked as a diplomat on Earth. Her name appeared frequently in the leaked files, often linked to discussions about the silent zones. When she finally answered his call, her voice sounded strained. "Nathan, I can't talk long," she said quickly. "What you're looking into, it's dangerous." "I need answers, Laura," Nathan pressed. "What's really going on? Why are people so angry?" She hesitated, glancing over her shoulder as though afraid someone might overhear. "Not everything is as it seems. Humanity didn't just walk away from galactic politics, we were pushed. But you have to stop asking questions. For your own safety." Her warning sent a shiver down Nathan's spine. Pushed? By whom, and why? Before he could ask more, the screen went black. Nathan stared at his communicator, frustration bubbling inside him. Every lead he followed only raised more questions. That night, unable to sleep, Nathan reviewed the footage of the riots again. Something about the way the crowd moved struck him as odd. They weren't acting like individuals. They seemed coordinated, almost mechanical. Was it possible something was influencing them? Determined to find out, Nathan booked passage to a remote asteroid mining colony, rumored to hold clues about the silent zones. As the shuttle lifted off, he glanced out the window at Vera shrinking below. Whatever truth lay ahead, he knew it wouldn't come easily. But giving up wasn't an option, not when the fate of humanity hung in the balance. The asteroid mining colony was a bleak and desolate place. Far from the chaos of Vera, Nathan stepped off the shuttle into a cold, metallic world where the air smelled faintly of rust and oil. The colony's main structure loomed ahead, its jagged edges cutting into the dim light of a distant star. It wasn't the kind of place anyone visited unless they had no other choice. Nathan found Ryan, the colony's engineer, in the maintenance bay, a wiry man with grease-streaked hands. Ryan looked up briefly as Nathan approached, but quickly returned to tinkering with a broken control panel. "You're the journalist," he said flatly, his voice rough from years of shouting over machinery. "What do you want?" "I'm here about the silent zones," Nathan replied, keeping his tone calm. "I heard rumors that ships have been coming back from there with unusual cargo." Ryan stopped working and wiped his hands on a rag. His expression darkened. "Unusual doesn't even begin to cover it. You're poking your nose into things you don't understand." "Then help me understand," Nathan urged. "People deserve to know what's happening." Ryan hesitated, then motioned for Nathan to follow him deeper into the bay. They passed rows of tools and spare parts until they reached a locked storage room. After entering a code into the keypad, Ryan opened the door to reveal a small, shimmering orb resting on a workbench. The object pulsed faintly, its surface shifting like liquid metal. "This is one of the artifacts," Ryan explained, his voice barely above a whisper. "It came from a ship that returned last month. The crew was changed." "Changed how?" Nathan asked, his eyes fixed on the orb. "They started hearing voices," Ryan said. "At first, it was just whispers, like someone talking in another room. But then the voices got louder, more insistent. Some of them claimed the artifact was alive, that it was trying to communicate. Others went mad, screaming about visions they couldn't explain." Nathan felt a chill run down his spine. "Did anyone figure out what it does?" Ryan shook his head. "We tried studying it, but every test we ran gave inconsistent results. Sensors picked up strange energy readings, but nothing we could replicate. And if you touch it—" He trailed off, his gaze dropping to the floor. "What happens if you touch it?" Nathan pressed. "It messes with your mind," Ryan admitted. "Makes you see things that aren't real lore. Maybe things that are real, but hidden." One guy touched it and started babbling about ancient civilizations watching us from beyond the stars. Another swore he saw his dead wife standing right next to him. After that, we stopped letting anyone near it. Nathan stared at the orb, torn between fascination and fear. If the silent zones were producing objects like this, it meant humanity's withdrawal wasn't just political, it was tied to something far bigger. But what? Before he could ask more questions, Ryan grabbed his arm. "Listen, I shouldn't have shown you this. People who dig too deep into this stuff tend to disappear. Just leave it alone." Nathan nodded, though he had no intention of stopping. As he left the storage room, his mind raced with possibilities. Could the artifacts be proof of alien life? Or were they remnants of whatever force was causing the anomalies Jacob had been tracking? That night, Nathan reviewed his notes in his quarters. He'd barely started writing when he heard a soft knock at the door. Opening it, he found Mia standing outside. She looked pale and anxious, her arms wrapped tightly around herself. "I need to talk to you," she whispered, glancing nervously down the corridor. "It's about Laura." Nathan let her in, his pulse quickening. "What about her?" "She contacted me earlier," Mia said, pacing the small room. "She said something about Earth's leaders making a deal with something buried under Europa's ice." Nathan frowned. "A deal? With what?" Mia shook her head. "She wouldn't say, but she sounded scared, like she thought she was being watched. Then she told me not to trust anyone, especially not people asking questions about the silent zones." Nathan's stomach tightened. First Laura, now Mia, both warning him to stop investigating. But stopping wasn't an option. Whatever was behind the anomalies, the artifacts, and the silent zones. It was connected to humanity's future, and Nathan knew he couldn't walk away, not when the truth might save them all. As Mia left, Nathan locked his door and pulled out his recorder. He needed to piece together everything he'd learned so far. The answers were out there somewhere, hidden in the vastness of space. All he had to do was keep looking, even if it meant risking everything. Back aboard the orbital research station, EOS, Jacob couldn't shake the feeling that time was running out. The data he'd been analyzing from deep space probes painted a disturbing picture. Strange gravitational distortions were spreading across sectors of space once dominated by human activity. Ships entering these zones either vanished or returned, with stories too bizarre to believe. And now, after Mia shared Nathan's discovery of the shimmering orb, Jacob knew they were dealing with something beyond their understanding. Late one night, as the rest of the station slept, Jacob and Mia sat in the lab poring over readings from the silent zones. On one of the holographic displays, a series of faint signals caught Jacob's attention. They weren't random bursts of noise, they followed patterns, almost like mathematical sequences. He leaned closer, his heart racing. "Mia, look at this," he said, pointing to the screen. "These aren't natural. Someone or something is sending a message." Mia adjusted her glasses and studied the data. "It looks like quantum equations mixed with, I don't know, symbols. Could it be an alien language?" "Maybe," Jacob replied, his mind racing. "But we need to decode it. If this is communication, it could explain what's happening in the silent zones." 4 hours, they worked tirelessly, feeding the signal into linguistic algorithms and cross-referencing it with known alien languages. Slowly, fragments of meaning began to emerge. The message wasn't just numbers or symbols, it was a plea for help, but not from any species they recognized. Whoever or whatever was behind it seemed desperate, reaching out across unimaginable distances. "This doesn't make sense," Mia murmured, rubbing her temples. "If they're asking for help, why target us? Humanity isn't even part of galactic politics anymore." "Maybe that's why they're reaching out," Jacob suggested. "We left the galactic stage, but something about our presence still matters. Or maybe," he trailed off, unsure how to finish the thought. Before Mia could respond, Jacob's communicator buzzed loudly, startling them both. It was Laura. Her face appeared on the small screen, pale and strained. She glanced around nervously before speaking. "Jake, I don't have much time. You and Mia need to stop digging into this. Whatever you've found, it's dangerous." Jacob frowned. "Laura, what are you talking about? We think we intercepted a message from the silent zones. It's a cry for help." Her expression darkened. "You don't understand. This isn't just some alien trying to communicate. It's bigger than that. Much bigger." She hesitated, then added, "Don't trust anyone, Jake, not even me." The line went dead before Jacob could ask more questions. He stared at the blank screen, frustration bubbling inside him. "What does she mean? Bigger?" he muttered under his breath. Mia sighed and leaned back in her chair. "She's scared, Jacob, really scared. And if she's warning us, it means we're onto something important, something people don't want us to find." Jacob nodded slowly, his resolve hardening. "Then we keep going. If there's a chance this message can help us understand what's happening, we can't ignore it." Over the next few days, Jacob and Mia refined their decoding efforts. The message grew clearer, revealing coordinates deep within the silent zones. It pointed to a specific location, a massive structure floating in the void. Images reconstructed from the data showed a sprawling network of crystalline formations, pulsing with energy. It looked less like a ship or station, and more like a living thing. "We need to go there," Jacob said firmly, one evening as they reviewed the findings. "If this is the source of the anomalies, it might hold the answers we need." Mia hesitated. "You realize how risky that is, right?" No one comes back from the silent zones unchanged if they come back at all. I know, Jacob admitted. But staying here won't solve anything. Besides, we're running out of options. The galaxy is falling apart, and humanity's withdrawal isn't the only cause. Something out there is influencing everything. Reluctantly, Mia agreed. Together, they began assembling a small crew for the mission. They reached out to Nathan, who eagerly joined after hearing about the decoded message. Ryan, the engineer from the asteroid colony, also signed on, intrigued by the possibility of uncovering the truth behind the artifacts. As they prepared the decommissioned freighter Aurora for the journey, Jacob couldn't shake the weight of his sister's warning. Don't trust anyone. What did she know that he didn't? And what would they find waiting for them in the silent zones? Whatever it was, Jacob knew one thing for certain. Turning back wasn't an option. The journey into the silent zones aboard the Aurora was anything but smooth. From the moment they entered the affected regions of space, strange things began happening. Instruments malfunctioned without explanation, and faint whispers seemed to echo through the ship's corridors, even though no one was speaking. The crew tried to stay focused, but the unease grew with each passing day. Jacob spent most of his time in the cockpit, staring at the navigation panel as the ship drifted closer to the coordinates from the decoded message. Beside him, Nathan scribbled notes furiously, documenting every unusual occurrence. This feels wrong, Nathan muttered, glancing over his shoulder as if expecting someone or something to appear behind him. It's just stress, Jacob replied, though he didn't sound convinced. He adjusted the controls, trying to steady the ship as it shuddered slightly. We're getting close. Ryan, who had taken on the role of engineer, worked tirelessly in the engine room, battling constant malfunctions. Every time he fixed one problem, another would pop up moments later. It's like the ship doesn't want us to go there, he grumbled, tightening a bolt with more force than necessary. Mia stayed in the lab, analyzing data from probes sent ahead of the Aurora. She noticed patterns in the gravitational distortions that matched the anomalies Jacob had first detected near Earth. But there was something new: fluctuations in energy levels that resembled brainwave activity. It was as if the silent zones were alive, reacting to their presence. One evening, as the crew gathered for a quick meal, Laura's warning echoed in Jacob's mind. Don't trust anyone. He glanced around the table at Mia, thoughtful and cautious. Nathan, determined, but visibly uneasy. Ryan, practical, yet clearly on edge. Were they all truly trustworthy, or was someone hiding something? Before he could dwell on the thought further, an alarm blared through the ship. Everyone rushed to the cockpit, where flashing lights indicated an unknown object approaching fast. On the view screen, a massive structure loomed into view, a sprawling network of crystalline formations glowing faintly in the darkness of space. It looked both beautiful and menacing, radiating an aura of power. That's it, Jacob said, his voice low. That's what the message led us to. As they drew nearer, the ship's systems began acting erratically. Lights flickered, and the temperature dropped sharply. Then, without warning, the Aurora came to a sudden halt, its engines sputtering and dying. What happened? Nathan asked, panic creeping into his tone. I don't know, Ryan replied, already heading back to the engine room. I'll check it out. While Ryan worked, Jacob and Mia examined readings from the structure. Outside, the energy emanating from it was unlike anything they'd ever seen, part machine, part organism, and entirely alien. It's pulling us in, Mia said, pointing to the sensors. Some kind of gravitational field. Sure enough, the Aurora began drifting toward the structure, powerless to resist. The crew braced themselves as the ship passed through a shimmering barrier and docked inside a vast chamber filled with glowing crystals. When they stepped outside, the air felt thick and charged, making it hard to breathe. The walls pulsed softly, as if alive, and faint hums resonated through the space. In the center of the chamber stood a large, translucent orb, similar to the one Ryan had shown Nathan, but this one was far bigger, easily twice the size of a person. This is incredible, Mia whispered, her eyes wide with awe. But Jacob wasn't so sure. Something about the orb made his skin crawl. As they approached it cautiously, the surface rippled, and images began to form scenes of planets collapsing, stars exploding, civilizations crumbling. It was as if the orb was showing them the consequences of humanity's withdrawal from galactic politics. Then, a voice spoke not aloud, but directly in their minds. Asterisk, asterisk, you have returned. Asterisk, asterisk, the words sent chills down their spines. Jacob took a step forward. Who are you? He asked, his voice trembling. The orb pulsed brighter. Asterisk, asterisk, we are the architect. We guided your species once, and now we call upon you again. Asterisk, asterisk, for what? Jacob demanded. Asterisk, asterisk, to restore balance or face destruction. Asterisk, asterisk, before anyone could respond, the chamber shook violently, and the images shifted, revealing cracks, spreading across the galaxy. The message was clear. Humanity's absence had destabilized everything, and the architect believed they were key to fixing it or finishing it. As the crew exchanged worried glances, one thing became painfully obvious. They were in way over their heads.
Captain Sam Rodriguez stared at the view screen of his ship, the UES Defiant. 20 Council warships floated in space ahead of him. They blocked the path to New Denver Colony. Their weapons were powered up and ready to fire. "Sir, they are demanding we stop our engines and prepare to be boarded," said Lieutenant Kelly Brooks from her station. She was the ship's tactical officer. Her fingers moved quickly over her controls as she watched the enemy ships. Sam looked at the other ships in his group. 5 human vessels carried families from New Denver. The colony had been evacuated 3 days ago when Council ships first appeared. Now these families just wanted to go home to Earth. "Tell them no," Sam said. "We are not stopping." Kelly's eyes went wide. "Sir, they have us outnumbered 4-1. Their ships are bigger than ours." "I do not care," Sam replied. "Those are our people on those transport ships. The Council has no right to take them." 3 weeks had passed since Ambassador Morrison rejected the Council's demands. The aliens had been angry ever since. They put blockades around human colonies. They stopped human trade ships. They searched any vessel that carried humans. Tony Garcia worked at the engineering station. He was young but very smart. "Captain, I can give you more power to the engines. It will not be safe, but it will make us faster." Sam nodded. "Do it. Kelly, prepare all weapons. We are going through that blockade." The Council Fleet Commander, Admiral Zekmoth, sat on his ship and watched the human vessels. He had fought many battles in his long life. No species had ever challenged the Council and lived to tell about it. "Human ship," he said into his communicator. "You will stop now or we will fire upon you." Sam's voice came back clear and strong. "We are leaving Council space with our people. Try to stop us." Zekmoth made a sound of anger. "Fire warning shots. Show them we are serious." Bright energy beams shot past the human ships. They missed on purpose, but the message was clear. The Council would use force if needed. On the transport ship New Hope, families watched the Council ships through small windows. Children pressed their faces to the glass. Parents held them close. They all knew they might die today. Navigator Amy Foster plotted a course through the Council fleet. "Captain, if we jump to hyperspace right through their formation, we might make it. The risk is high, but they will not expect it." Sam looked at his crew. They were all young. Most had never been in a real battle, but they were ready to fight for their people. "All ships, follow my lead," he said into his communicator. "We are going home." The human ships moved forward. The Council vessels spread out to block them. Admiral Zekmoth gave the order to fire. Energy, beams, and missiles filled the space between the fleets. The human ships were smaller and faster. They dodged most of the shots, but the Council ships were stronger. Their shields could take more damage. Tony Garcia watched his power readings spike. "Captain, the engines are running too hot. If I push them harder, we might explode." "Keep pushing," Sam said. "Better to explode fighting than live as slaves." Kelly fired the ship's weapons at the nearest Council vessel. Her shots hit their shields but did not break through. "We need to get closer," she said. Amy Foster suddenly had an idea. "Captain, what if we do not try to go around them? What if we go through them?" She showed Sam her navigation screen. She had plotted a course that would take them right between two Council ships. The space was very narrow. One small mistake would mean crashing into an enemy vessel. "Do it," Sam said. The Defiant turned hard to the right. The transport ships followed, close behind. The Council fleet tried to adjust, but the human ships were moving too fast. Admiral Zekmoth watched in shock as the human ships flew right through his formation. "Impossible," he said. "No pilot would take such a risk." The lead transport ship, carrying Helen Wright and 200 families, barely fit through the gap. The ship's hull scraped against a Council vessel's shields. Sparks flew, but the transport kept moving. "Human madness," Zekmoth said. He ordered his ships to pursue the escaping vessels. The chase continued for an hour. The human ships jumped in and out of hyperspace. They used tricks the Council had never seen before. Amy Foster plotted jumps so close to stars that the heat damaged their ships, but it also hid them from Council sensors. Finally, the human ships escaped. The Council fleet was left behind, confused and angry. But Admiral Zekmoth was not finished. He was angry that humans had made him look weak. He ordered his ships to attack New Denver Colony. The few people still on the planet had no way to defend themselves. Helen Wright watched from her transport ship as energy beams hit the colony from space. Buildings exploded, fields burned. The Council was punishing the colony for helping people escape. "Record everything," she told her assistant. "The galaxy needs to see what the Council really is." The attack lasted 2 hours. When it was over, New Denver was in ruins. The Council ships left without checking for survivors. News of the attack spread quickly. Human communication networks carried the story to every human world. Videos showed Council ships firing on defenseless buildings. Images showed families running from burning homes. On neutral worlds, other species watched the news with surprise. The Council claimed they kept peace in the galaxy, but their attack on New Denver looked like the actions of bullies. Captain Sam Rodriguez and his crew reached Earth safely. The families they saved were grateful, but Sam felt no joy. He had saved these people, but he could not save New Denver. "The Council made a mistake today," he told his officers. "They showed their true face to the galaxy. Now everyone will see them as we do." Kelly Brooks looked at the tactical reports from the battle. "Sir, we hurt them more than they want to. Admit. Their ships are not used to fighting enemies who fight back." Tony Garcia nodded. "Their technology is old. They have been the strongest for so long that they stopped improving. We can beat them." On the bridge of his flagship, Admiral Zekmoth read reports from the battle. His officers told him the humans had been lucky, but Zekmoth was not so sure. The human tactics were strange but effective. "Prepare the main fleet," he told his staff. "The Council wants this human problem solved quickly. We will show them what happens when species refuse to obey." But across the galaxy, other species were asking questions. If humans could fight the Council, maybe they could too. The attack on New Denver had made the Council look cruel and weak. Some species began to think about rebellion. The war had begun, and the galaxy would never be the same.